This meeting is being recorded.
Got it.
So funny. The voice is so cute on your end. My voice is like Miss Robot.
That was the first time that it was like high pitched like that. Normally it is like it is robotic. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so funny. Awesome. Well, Delaney, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. As I mentioned prior to hitting record, I just feel like you're the perfect example of like AOB kind of being one of the initial gateways for you into now what is your purpose and your career and like what you're building at this point with your retreats and the work that you're doing inside of your community. Because I know that also like where you live, it's not breathwork and meditation isn't like a big, super popular practice and like space that everyone's like, oh my God, I got to be a part of this. And you've really been a trailblazer in your community. So I'm just really excited to chat with you and for people to get exposure of what's possible.
Oh yeah. Yeah. AOB was definitely like the ignition point for me of really just like I had been a yoga teacher for I guess about 2.5 years whenever I joined AOB. And I've been practicing yoga for almost 10 years. So I was at the point in my own practice where I was like, okay, I'm ready for something new, something a little exciting to be a little different for my practice. And I found AOB, and it not only transformed like my personal yoga practice and my own journey, but it really brought like a whole other side to my teaching. Like it was really interesting how I went from, just kind of like the basics, of like and needing like external sources for inspiration for what I was teaching. But then when I started using breathwork and meditation in my own practice, it was really interesting how my intuition turned on and I was able to find that creativity from inside of me. So it felt like I was actually bringing something unique to my classes. And yeah, where I've been living, it hasn't really been something that you see everywhere. There's a couple of studios that offer like one meditation class a week or something like that. So being able to provide that to the community of like hosting an actual breathwork workshop where we take several weeks to experience and dive into different practices has really been transformational for the people that have been willing to dive into it. Because it is kind of hard to put into words exactly what breathwork and meditation does for you in terms of your personal transformation. I think the closest that I've been able to come is that it slows down your thoughts. It creates space in your mind so that you have room for choice, so that you are able to respond to the situations that you find yourself in instead of falling into your habitual reactions. Um, and the other thing about AOB that really sparked my curiosity was that it's the science and the spirituality. And I think that was huge for me because my background is my degree is in chemical engineering. I do have a full-time engineering job. So it was important for me personally to understand not only what the practices are, but why they work. And not just anecdotally, but like this is the neuroscience behind why breathwork and meditation work.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like my biggest takeaway from AOB was not only like the life-changing practices and being able to experience that myself, but the science behind it and being able to say to my students, like, yes, I know exactly what this is doing in your brain and in your body and why it works. So that the people that are, like thinking that it's too esoteric, that it's not accessible to like understand why it works, it is. You do get to understand what these practices are and what they do physiologically and how they work.
Yeah, I think that's the coolest thing is like we can speak to the skeptics and bring them these practices. And even if it's like something that there maybe is hesitation around fully like leaning into / like believing,
Yeah.
they're open enough because it's rooted in neuroscience and it's rooted in academic research. Like it's not just written in a book somewhere. It's not just like passed on, even though it is from one side of it, which is beautiful. And we want to honor that and be able to speak to that as well too, to the people that are open and ready. But there's also a huge like demographic of people that aren't ready and are more excited about the science behind the breath and meditation. And I think that's like the opportunity that we have to introduce these practices to people that maybe wouldn't necessarily be open to it if they were to see it presented in a different way.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So as a engineer, but then also as a teacher, you really are balancing like these two different worlds, but you seem to do so in such an incredible way. And I know that a lot of people that go into AOB are still working full-time jobs or are in school, or, you know, like any of us, we have other aspects of life going on. And for me, I really believe that these practices, like you said, create space, not only in the mind, but also in our ability to handle the duality that life presents us, whether it's emotional duality or like actual like physical duality and like the things that we have going on. And so I'm curious, like, from going through AOB and then even your time outside of AOB, because you've been outside of AOB for a while now, how or what would you say to somebody that is juggling multiple things around like how to go through this program, succeed at it, and then be able to like have the time and dedication to build upon the thing that you desire to create, which for you is like you're teaching your classes, the retreats that you host as well too. I would love to just like hear your perspective on that.
For sure. So I actually just got back from Costa Rica last night where I hosted a week-long retreat there. And, you know, I think it was in or maybe it was the advanced practitioner training where we had our one-on-one call and you're like, you know, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And I was like, well, I really want to host retreats. Like, I really want to bring this to groups of people. And it's been maybe a year and a half since the advanced training, and like that I'm doing it now. Like, that's just like the power of these practices, is that what you want to do, you manifest it in your life. Like, it happens. But so yeah, like balancing the duality of it, I think it really is leaning on these practices. It is knowing that it takes a lot of your time, but I am introverted. And so, you know, energy is like a big thing. Like when I share these practices, sometimes it can take a lot out of me. But that's why we meditate, right? Is to come back inside of ourselves and give ourselves what we need. So I think that this also is like where my passion is. And so when you're really passionate about something, then that's all you want to do, right? So I think that having the full-time job and teaching yoga after work and on the weekends and hosting retreats and having one-on-one clients that I work with, it's really about just taking, like, being all in for all of that, but then knowing when it's time to take a step back and take some time for yourself as well. And I think that, you know, everyone has their own sort of self-care ritual that they go through whenever they are needing that. But for me, I didn't know how to really pour back into myself, you know, like doing all the things that you would see, like, you know, skincare and face masks and taking a bath and going for a walk, like all that's great. And I still do some of those things. But really the only way that I truly feel refilled, the only way that I feel refilled is when I take the time to sit down and breathe and sit with myself. And I was just talking about with some ladies at this retreat that I was on that, yes, it is about taking some time and sitting for 5, 10, 15 minutes with these practices in that sacred space. But it's also about just incorporating these practices into your daily life, because it's so easy to sit there and do equal ratio breathing while you're doing the dishes, or do ujjayi while you're folding your laundry. Like, it's both. It's knowing that you're driving to that stressful meeting, or that you just received like an email that didn't make you feel good, and taking a step back and, you know, taking a couple rounds of equal ratio breathing just to bring yourself back into balance. And again, create that space so that you're coming from a place of peace and responsiveness rather than that like reactivity. which again just goes back to the duality of like, you're going to have moments where you feel really good and you have a lot of energy, and there's going to be moments where you don't feel that great and you feel really depleted. And using these tools to just bring yourself back to center of like, who am I desiring to be in this moment?
I love that so much. And I love that it's been a year and a half and you're like already doing the things that you said you wanted to do. Like that's the beauty of these practices. And I think that sometimes it can feel so far away, so distant when you like figure out what you want to do and where you want to go. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like staring at this really long runway in front of me. Can I make it happen? Can I really do this? Am I cut out for this? And you are such a testament to, yes, you can. And it can happen so much faster than you can even imagine. And with so much more ease than you could probably even prepare yourself for. But you have to be committed. You have to be devoted. You have to show up for yourself. And through showing up for yourself, you will find what your next step is and get your footing on this journey. And so I just like, I celebrate you so big because I feel lucky enough to have been a part of your journey for quite some time now and to have seen the many different seasons that you've been through. And it just feels like to take a step back and see like where you said you wanted to be when you like just started an AOB to where you are now, like you are living the life that you dreamed of, and it got to come to you so much faster, I'm sure, than you expected. And so I just think that that's so exciting. And also just like how cool it is for you to be a testament to like being able to balance the things and to like have a full-time job and do the things that you love and to be building the things that you love and like really pouring into those things and to create the space for it and to, I imagine, not feel like it's as far away as it may have looked from the beginning.
Oh yeah. Yes. Like when we first had that conversation, I was like, I feel like retreats and like group settings is really how I'm feeling called to share these practices. It did feel far away. I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. But if it's meant for you, it finds its way to you. And it's really just about putting yourself in those situations where you're going to meet the people that are going to have those opportunities for you.
Yeah.
And I think that comes when you listen to your intuition and you listen to your inner guidance of like, this is the right next step to take, and kind of being bold and brave and facing the fears that come up. And that's the other thing about breathing, is that when you're feeling that fear, you're able to control your breath and bring yourself back down off of that ledge of, am I going to freeze or am I going to move forward even though the fear is present? And yeah, so it's about taking that bold action and listening to your inner guidance. So
yeah. Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I hope that this inspires anybody that's watching it or listening to it. And also very exciting for anybody that's watching or listening, Delaney is one of our small group mentors. Delaney has gone through both the Academy of Breath, our advanced practitioner training, and now she supports our students that go through the program as well. And so if you are joining AOB, you will get to know Delaney on a much deeper level. So Delaney, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. I love you so much. I'm so grateful that we get to work together, and I'm so excited to see where your journey ends up going next.
Yes, thank you. I love you too. And I'm so blessed to be in your energy and on a continuing basis. And I look forward to supporting everyone in AOB this round.